welcome everyone to the second faculty course of the Faculty of Agriculture and Plantation Management. And we have a special guest today, Professor Aminda Methsila Perera, who is a professor attached to the Department of Accountancy in the Faculty of Business Studies and Finances in the University of Sri Lanka. Professor Aminda Perera has a PhD in Marketing from University of Sri Lanka and PhD in Management from Casey International University in USA. And he has an MBA in Marketing, MBA in International Financial Management from Indira Gandhi National University of India. And he was a graduate on Public Administration, University of Sri Lanka. And he has been contributed heavily into the national development. He is one of the figures in the University that we can be proud of. That is why we have invited him here into the Faculty of Agriculture and Plantation Management. He is currently the head of the Department of Accountancy in the BSS and former director, certificate in Personal Financial Management Program, former director, diploma in Personal Financial Management Program. And he is the former director in People's Bank, former director in Civil Aviation Authority, former director National Library and Documentation Services Board, former director Sustainable Energy Authority and former director Building Materials Corporation. And I don't know the current affiliations. I think there are a lot of affiliations he is working on. And when we were in the lift and he was telling me about so many other things, so I will not go into that. So why we have invited Professor Aminda Perera is that we know that he is a well-known figure. We see him on TV, we see him on giving public addresses, especially on his specialty on accountancy and the national economy. So we thought of learning from him about the budget proposals that all of us will be affected by these proposals when they are implemented. All of us will be affected, whether you are in agriculture, medicine or whatever. Whatever the decisions taken by the government will affect all of us in the society. So therefore we thought of inviting him. It's the best time because we all are paying taxes and we are very much worried about taxes and all the impacts of taxes. Therefore, we thought, at the faculty board, we thought Professor Aminda is the best person to talk to us about that. So therefore, I welcome Professor Aminda to the Faculty of Agriculture and Plantation Management. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Chaga, and still it is morning. Good morning to all, yes sirs, and the colleagues and students also there. So thank you again for the invitation. So talking about this economy and the budget proposal may not be that easy to confining to a 1 hour. But anyway, I'll highlight the most important part only. And then and there, if you have anything to clarify, you can disturb me at any time. So the area that we are going to focus on today is basically the budget proposal for 2024 and then how it impacts on our taxes. So it is very crucial. So I have taken some figures here, not to discriminate or not to insult to someone, but we know that I am talking to agriculture people basically. Okay? And I know that Professor Jagas is from economics and even Professor Aminda to some extent. But the financial is not that easy to understand, and even our financial literacy rate is very poor in Sri Lanka. Of course, they call like 57, but the real figure is around 35% in Sri Lanka, the financial literacy. So because of that, the different people, they interpret the economic issue, the economic crisis, their own ways. So what I want to show you here, the basics of what has happened to us. Right? So what is this economic crisis? The budget is proposed based on the economic crisis, and why we pay taxes, that is because of the economic crisis. So first we have to understand the economic crisis. And when I searched for some information, I found very interesting picture. Okay? So this is where our HE met Bill Gates. So he was very proudly announced that even I met Bill Gates. So I just wanted to compare the worth of Bill Gates. Okay? That is almost 135 billion. And the entire Sri Lankan economy is just 71 billion. Okay? So you can see that where are we now? Okay? We are a very small economy, just 71 billion or say 72 billion. So that is that. So this is a very small economy. So the economy, now most of the cases we say that we are still developing and we are low incomers. No. So we were upgraded to the low middle income in 1997, and it took 50 years for us to take the next step. But then after, by 2019, we were upgraded to middle income country. Right? So the upper middle income country. Normally, when it comes to upper middle income country, the next step is the high income. So if you look at Korea, Japan and all these countries, they have taken in between 10 to 12 years to take them into the next level. So the World Bank predicted that even we can go to upper or the high income level by 2034. So that was the prediction we had in 2019. But unfortunately, we know what has happened in 2018 and 19 for this Easter Sunday issue and all other things. Because of that, within a year, we again back to the same position. Okay? Still, we are a lower middle income country. So that's the main problem we have. So when it comes to the country, the current status, so we are sorry to see the numbers. Now we are belongs to another the 20 poorest countries in Asia. Okay, we are in the 17th now. Okay, so that is the real numbers in Sri Lankan context. And if I just quickly go through what went wrong here. Okay, so for me, so the entire economic crisis is mainly because of two deficits that we have. We call it the twin deficit hypothesis in economics. So the twin deficit means the first one is, we call it the current account deficit, other one is the fiscal deficit. So the current account, maybe that you are familiar with the word of the balance of payment. The balance of payment means the entire transaction that we do with other countries. Okay? For that we need foreign currencies. Okay? So we can't use rupees. So we need foreign currencies to import something or buy something from the other countries. So that is we call the balance of payment. And the balance of payment contains three sub-components or sections. One is the current account. The capital account is basically we are talking about the capital assets, but this is the most important part. So this current account, on average, if you look at from 2017 to 23, every month there's a balance of minus 151. Okay? So million. So every month the government should find additional $151 million to cover our expenses. So every month we were accumulating this. Right? So this is the first one, the current account deficit. So the current account deficit you can see throughout the period, even from 1990. So every day we had a negative balance. So every year, every month the government should find something. And even if you look at the last 5 years, the total is 10 billion we lost. Okay? So 10 billion, you can put 9 zeros here. Then you can imagine and multiply that by 350 rupees. Then you can see the number. So the problem we had. So this 10 billion, remember that even from IMF, we got only 2.9 billion. Okay? After all these efforts, we got only 2.9 billion, but for last 5 years, we lost 10.6 billion because we could not manage our imports and exports. Okay? We opened the market, we imported everything, and our exports were not that level. So ultimately, we had a minus balance. So this is what we call current account deficit. So even the current account deficit, if you go a little deeper, I will not take more time to explain this, but it contains three components: export and import, net income from abroad, and the transfers. Okay? Here this is the most important part: export and import. So maybe that you know what we export and what we import. Can you believe the last year, no, 2022, we spend around over 200 million to import vegetables. Okay? 73 million dollars to import fish, and around 40 to import fruits. Okay? So that shows that why we import vegetables? Even there were no tourists on those days, but still, so that is our habit. So because of that, we can see there's a huge gap between the export and imports. Okay? So the average every month, so we need $498 million. Okay? So this is we call the trade balance. Okay? So we were telling this issue for last maybe few decades to the governments, the different governments. Yeah, we are in the trouble. We are going for a very dangerous position because every day, every month we accumulate this. But unfortunately, they were not taken that serious when we highlighted these numbers. Okay? And here you can find the different period, and our exports you can find here some numbers for you, just for the information. In Sri Lanka still we export only 928 million, whereas you can find Malaysia it is 25,000 millions. Okay? So our economy is like, our concern is why we can't enhance the economy or enhance the exports. Okay? Still we depend on few items like after the colonial period, still we depend on the tea, rubber and coconut. Okay? Of course the tea is there, but rubber and the coconut we don't have good market. And now even can you believe we import tea. Okay? So the Tata, they started their businesses in Sri Lanka, and now we import tea also. Okay? So what we export other than garments. Even if it is the garments, our contribution is very low. Because all the materials, the raw materials are imported. Therefore our net contribution is very low. But you can see that Pakistan, Bangladesh, right? Even the Greece, okay? See that they are exported China $274 million. Okay? So that is a problem. Right? Now because you can ask like, can we find a solution? Yes. Okay? Now I told you that average current account deficit was 151 million. If you look at the current status for the last quarter, so it was positive. The entire year, the last year, we reported positive balance. So that's a very good sign. Okay? Maybe the government stopped all these imports, that many imports were curtailed, no vehicles, and even some loans are not still started unpaying. So maybe those are some of the reasons, but anyway, we have a good amount of dollars now. So the last 4 quarters, so even the 5, we can see after many years, now we reported a positive current account balance. So we can keep a little hope on this. So the one deficit, so that is the current account deficit. So that is beyond our control. So let me to go for the most important part, that is our fiscal deficit. Okay? So this is the rupee. The first one is the dollars. We don't have dollars. Now of course we can see that there are some dollars, and that's why the rupee is appreciating currently. And the second one is so this is the dollar matter, this is the rupee matter. So our case is even we don't have rupees. Okay? We don't have dollars, on the other hand we don't have rupees. So see this 2024, the budget estimate, our total income would be just 4,127 billion. But our expenditure is 6,978 billion. Okay? So that is a rough expenditure. Definitely, if you look at last couple of years, we can predict that normally we can't go for this, we can go maximum 90% of this income. But when it comes to the expenditure will increase by another 20% for sure. Okay, so that's a normal trend. And our deficit is 2,851. So this is equal to the last year total income. And this year we are expecting to go for a loan 7,350 billion. Okay? Right. So the 7,350 billion needed to overcome this issue. Okay? So our total income is 4,000, but we need to go for 7,350 billion loan. So that is the hardest the government, I hope. Okay? And when you look at the average, on average, our income is, if you compare that to the GDP, gross domestic product, normally we present the numbers in as a percentage. Our income is 8 to 8.2, our expenditure is 18.5. Then you can see there's a gap of 10.3. If there's a gap, what you can do, we have to go for the loans. So if our income is not sufficient to pay the expenditure, so definitely we have to go for the loans. Now our expenditure, the loan is almost 119% of our total country value. Okay? So that's why we call it is not sustained. Okay? Now again, my question is, can we correct this? Okay? And what really happened? Now when you look at these numbers, I have taken all the numbers because it is a very political sensitive speech. Okay? The different people, they argue like, what has happened to economy? Is it because of 2019, the decision taken by the government, or was it an inherent something? Okay? Now here you can find by 2019, our income 1,899 billion, but 2020 we gave many tax exemptions. Finally, our income was 1,300. Okay? So this is the outcome of that. Okay? So up to this level, 2018, this is our budget deficit. But 2019 onward, so we experienced huge budget deficit. The reason is we curtail our expenses. Okay? Not the expenses, we cut our income. So these are real numbers. And so this is, again you can see that what has happened to the economy. And finally, no option. So we went for bank loans or the foreign loans. Now the total loan is 28 billion USDs, okay, rupee wise. And every person now, we all need to pay the government at approximately 1.2 billion, 2 million to set off these outstanding loans. Okay, this is a per capita loan. Okay? And so you can see that how loans increased from 1990 to up to now. And see the loans given in billion. I told you the economy, the total economy value is 72 billion, whereas we have to pay 87 billion. Okay? So even if you look at sell the entire country, not this SLT and all these small institutions, if you sell the entire country, still we are lacking of another 10 billion or 15 billion. Okay? So that's a serious issue in that case. Okay? So, but I don't believe that taking loan is not always bad. Even if you take your own example, to buy your vehicle, to construct your house, you have to go for the loans. Now, if you look at numbers here, the Japan, out of the GDP, they are now taken more than 256% loans. Okay? Our one is just 118. The case is, for them, they use only 8.2% of their income to service the loan. Okay? Out of the total income, they spend only 8.2. Even if you look at India, they spend only 15.5. But their loans, the total loans taken is very high. But in Sri Lankan context, see what has happened in 2019, we paid out of the total 100 that, the 100 that you earn, 47 to service the loan. But I told you that 2019 we dropped our income, we lost our income. Because of that, now it has a percentage of 71. Okay? So if you earn 100 rupee, we have to spend 71 to 72 rupees to pay the interest only. Okay? Only the interest. So we have the balance of another 29 rupees to spend all. To salaries and everything, we have only 29. But see that Japan, they spend only 8.2 rupees or 2%. So this is the issue. So then you can understand here, not the issue with the loan, but how we use them. So that is the problem. If you have taken the loans and invested properly, and if you can generate something out of those investments, so we could have serviced the loan in a proper way. Okay? Therefore, I don't say that taking loan is not bad always, But the case is, we are not in position to service the loan. Even if you go to a bank, normally the bank will ask, what is your salary and how much you pay as a loan up to now. The maximum ceiling is given now 50%. 50 to 55% is the maximum ceiling for us to go for a loan. The balance part we have to save for other expenses. Right. So with this, we lost the international capital market. So we declared that we bankrupted, and thereafter no one is willing to help us. Now the problem you can understand, we don't have rupees, we don't have dollars. Even the international support is no more there to us now. Okay. So here again, you can see the trend, the normal income curve. If it was there in this way, so without having any burden, we could have achieved this target. No any burden, because a very normal trend. But here see what has happened. 2019 we dropped our income, so now we have to fill this gap. The total value of this gap is 2,800 billion. 2,800 billion we need to find additionally to cover up this gap. Okay? So how government can earn money? What is the main income source of the government? The tax. Almost 93% we earn from taxes. Okay? So because of that, now the government has no choice. One is that they have to go for the loans, other one is they have to increase their income. Okay? So I told you now they can't go for the bank loans or they can't go for the international market because we have declared ourselves as a bankrupted country. Okay? That is that. Right? In addition to that, we had a good reserve. Okay? By 2019, we had 7.6 billion reserves with us in central bank. Okay? I told you again, from IMF we are requesting only 2009. Okay? So what we did, since we can't go for the international market, and it was a little difficult for us to go for the tax hike, they used this factor, plus up to this. From this shorter period, we used this 7.6 billion USDs, and there were only 50 billion by 2022 April. So this is the point where we collapsed. Okay? So if you have reserves, now say for example you lost the job and you have some deposits in the bank, you can enjoy it for a particular period. Right? Then thereafter that is the end. So we experienced that by this time, and the only option, so we introduce a new concept. Right? Our people are good in introducing concepts. So the former governor, central bank, one of my sirs, he introduced the concept of modern monetary theory. Okay? So of course there's a theory called modern monetary theory, but that does not mean that we can print money. Okay? Right? So even America, they do printing. So the printing money, the modern monetary theory says, if you expect any development in the next year, out of which 2 to 4% we can print. Okay? Some countries they go up to 10%. So that is what the modern monetary theory says. But here you can see that we started printing money because no rupees, we started printing money. Okay? So if we can run a country in that way, then we can close all these universities and pick some machines, even the parliament, and started printing money throughout the 24 hours. We can print money. Of course, America can do because there is dollars, not rupees. Okay? So we printed money. Here you can see the numbers, how much we printed. Okay? So what will happen if supply increases? No demand for rupees, but we increase the supply. Definitely the prices, the value decreases. So that is what we call the rupee depreciation. Okay? Now see that 2021 dollar was 198. Now it went up to 359. Okay? On the other hand, we say the rupee is depreciating. Okay? Now the dollar is around 340. Okay? Even so, say for example, if you want to bring a vehicle this time, right? Now the permits are issuing by the university. I was thinking like what we can import. because we have to pay the double now. Okay? So you can't, expenses are very high. So this is the reason why all the expenses increase, with the fuel and everything, with no option. When you import something, now we have to pay 350 or some per dollar, but in previously it was just 198. Now, on this percentage, the fuel increased and all other product increased. That's why we call it, we experience huge inflation. Because inflation, there are different numbers. The central bank is always hiding numbers, and they manipulate, I would say. The central bank is always manipulating the number. And because of that, why I say is, the IMF, they put a first condition that we have to make central bank independent. Because all the numbers are given by the central bank are politically sensitive and motivated numbers. So according to their estimate, we reported around 69% inflation. But the international assessment is 132%. We were the second in the world, the highest inflation. Okay? Unfortunately, Zimbabwe was there, otherwise we could have come to the first. Okay? So this is how our inflation reported. And yes, so finally, this is the Fitch rating. We know that there are three very famous rating agencies in the world, Moody, Fitch and S&P. The Fitch rating, there are different grades. Now we are in the default grade. Then the last grade, so that's why we say that we are bankrupted. Okay? Now, for example, if you take Singapore, that's in AAA. Now we are here. Okay? So now we have to take the country image up. Okay? To take the country image up, so this is the one picture that I found on website. Because of the issue, even the zoo, they face food shortage. They invited the people to bring something for the animals in zoo. So that was the problem we faced in 2022. Now because of that, there were many things happened and the government changed. People tried to change the system and all this thing. Now we went through IMF, okay? International Monetary Fund. So this is the agreement. These are available on the website if anyone interested. You can go through. It's a 154-page document. Because until 2027, the entire country will be managed according to this agenda. Until 2027. Right? And we passed the bill by the parliament, so you can't change it. Whatever or which party comes to power, finally they have to agree to this, because now it is parliamentary accepted bill. Okay? No one went against during the parliament. There were some absences, but no one voted against. Okay? So we have gone through IMF several years, but I don't want to go through. So there are few conditions given, 17 conditions. Okay? And 17 conditions, we are really worrying. The first time we can see that the corruption. For the corruption, there are 2 conditions out of 17. Okay? So they recognize the level of the corruption in the country. So for us, the most important part is financial stability. Now the IMF says, so we don't have the financial stability. So you have to maintain the stability, and we have to go for the sustainable level of economy. Okay? For that, now the government is introduced the budget. Okay? So I have taken a little time to go through just to discuss about the base for the budget 2024. Because rather coming to the budget and the numbers and the taxes at once. Now, with that, if I quickly go through the balance, so I told you the income dropped and all, I will not take time. Here you can see the expenses and all these are there, and our income, the tax to GDP, even though we say that it was too much and very difficult to bear, if you compare with other countries, still we are the lowest. Okay? Just we pay only 7.4% of the GDP. Okay? But there's a problem. Why we feel that this, okay, I'll quick to go through. It takes some, the taxes. Now, by 2022, now our total population, the working population is 8.5 million. and we have 5.8 million households in Sri Lanka. But there were only 1.5 million tax files in 2020. And since I told you that we curtail some taxes, we remove some taxes, we reduce the total files up to 412,000 by 2021. Now there are only 412 taxpayers in Sri Lanka. Okay? And out of which only 120,000 file returns. We know we get the returns and we have to file it. We have to maintain the file. There are only 120,000 active files in Sri Lanka. Can you believe out of which only 57,000 people pay taxes in Sri Lanka? Okay? Out of 8.5 million, only 57,900 people pay taxes. Okay? So with this money, we have to look after all these 20 million people paying samurdhi and all these other expenses, but only 57,000 people. Okay? So that is a huge target of IMF, how to increase this number. If you go for the detail, only 137 persons paid more than 5 million. Okay? Only 137. Okay? And you can see other numbers. And even if you take the companies, you can find there are 105 companies and they have only 60,000 files. Okay? And even up to 2022, we have only 437,000 taxpayers. Among these, most of the people are the government servants and the private sector workers. Because for us, no option. They cut the tax from the salary. So we are paying tax now. Okay? Other than that, no voluntary taxpayers in Sri Lanka. And companies, only 68,000 companies are paying taxes now. Okay? So the 2023 government did many changes. With that, they increased the number by another 198,000. So currently there are 635,000 taxpayers. But the expected number is 2.2 million. We can very easily go for 2.5 million in Sri Lanka. Okay? As per the estimations. Now this is the government estimation, but the IMF says no, we can go for 2.5 million. So what will happen if we can go for 2.5 million? Now currently we pay only 437,000, 5 times of taxpayers. Then definitely we can reduce the tax burden per person. When the target is given, if you divide the target by 437,000, it is a big amount. So if you can divide the same amount with 2.5 million, so that would be, most probably we can reduce our tax burden by 80%. Okay? So that is what our estimation. So we can very easily, the government can reduce the tax by 80% by 2025 if they can go for this target. So the initial stage, I told you that we have to find 2,800 billion, the leakage that we experienced from 2019 to 2022. So during that time, the economy lost 2,800 billion. Okay? So we have to refill it. Right? So we all benefited because the government says no taxes, so even we benefited because we didn't pay tax. Therefore, we all responsible to pay it back. Okay? So now, so I don't go through this. The taxation, of course, I have many criticism because for the taxation there are 4 principles, but unfortunately, none of these principles are goes with the current taxation rules in Sri Lanka. It says ability to pay and the family needs. So we have that problem. Okay? And taxpayers are clearly informed. We don't know how much they charge and how many taxes are we pay now. There are more than 30-40 taxes. We don't know how much we pay. Okay? Sometimes maybe I saw in telephone bills, almost 78% or 72% of taxes we pay. Right? And easy to compliance. So we should be able to understand and we should be able to calculate. Even I take the support of another consulting partner to make my tax file. Okay? Because we can understand how they calculate and negatively affect the allocation of the resources should not. should not negatively affect. But here you can see because of the taxes, the many companies closed and they leave the country, so those are the negative impacts. So these principles, yes, I have an issue. Right, so this is what the tax, okay, I'll go to the quickly the circulars introduced. So these are the 3 gazette notifications. The most important part is this one. So this is available on website. You can read it and you can understand how they are going to charge taxes on it. This is of course extra gazette notification. They increase the tax from EPF from 14 to 30%, threatening the people that if they are not allowing to restructure the loan, they are going to add additional tax on EPF. Okay? Still it is not implemented. What they say is, we have to restructure the EPF, the loans given by EPF, and if you are not allowing it with the trade union people they were against, if so, they will be increasing the tax rate of EPF from 40 to 30%. So that is this gazette, but here, this is the gazette on which we have to pay now additional taxes. Okay? Okay. So then, again, when it comes to the calculation of the taxes, we know even the Senate and the Council, sometimes we argue with our Versa, how he does these calculations. Because the definition says, if it is personal income, the case of resident person, the person is coming employment, business, investment and all. And if you look at the definition given, the computed on the gross income, not the net income. You can't deduct any expense. Okay? Earlier it was net. Now it is gross. Okay? So whatever you earn is taxable. Okay? So one word changed week. Right? They comprise all items of remuneration, including that can be for me or my spouse or children or the parent, anything, anyone. Okay? Maybe your insurance payment or the vehicle given by the government or the quarters or the circuits, all are charged now. Okay? So not only for the employee, even for the other people, whatever the expenses incurred by the government will be estimated as our income. Okay? The gross employment income payment upon the termination of employment, that is another point. Even when you go for the retirement, right? For that also they do taxes now. Okay? So the EPF and our pension and UPF and all, so when you get it, there will be a tax. But don't worry, this is for 2023 and 4. If another government come and change it, it's all right. Okay? So we can change this. Okay? So this is the current situation. Okay? This is the current situation. Because it's a matter of just passing a bill from the parliament. So overnight we can change it. At least when we get retirement age, so we'll see that we can at least take this amount. Okay, so the prevailing or the previous taxes that in 2022, the first 3 million was exempted. Right? 3 million, that is per month, 250,000. We didn't pay tax. And after that, another 3 million, it was 6%. And the next 3 million, it was 12%, the balance was 18%. Therefore, we enjoyed a big tax exemption. In addition to that, they have given us another expenditure relief of 1.2 million, other than this 3 million. Right? So we were able to claim for our, say that our children school fees or something, we were able to claim another 1.2 million. Okay? So in simple, even up to 4.2 million, we didn't pay taxes. Okay? But now, it is here the reliefs given and there are some conditions, I don't want to read it, but the most important part is now, without knowing to us, they have removed it. Okay? Even that is no more there now. So you can't claim any relief. Okay? So this 1.2 million they remove from that asset. Therefore no claims. Now that's why the people they say that we pay for insurance and we can claim it and we pay for the housing loans now here in after no. Okay? From this year onwards, no claim for the relief, expenditure relief. Okay? And if you look at the rate, this is there are some concessional rate. I'll come to that later. So these are prevailing rates. Okay? It says here we have only personal relief, that is the monthly income can be maximum 100,000. Earlier it was 250,000. Right? Now the maximum tax relief given for us is 1.2 million. Earlier it was 3 million. Okay? The second slab, earlier it was 3 million, now it is 500,000. Okay? And the second slab was another 3 million, now this is again 500,000. So if you take all these, the total is just 2.5 million. The earlier, we paid only 6% on that. But today we have to pay even up to 36%. So there's a huge tax burden. So that's why the many people, they argue and fight, saying that this cannot be bad and this is too much. Okay? And the retirement benefits are given, will not take it time. And yeah, sorry. Yes, and I just compare this with the other countries, how they charge. Okay, the Pakistan, when you take the Sri Lankan rupee wise, see the way that they charge their taxes. Other Pakistan people, they pay taxes more than us, but when it comes to Indian tax rates, so those are much better than us. Okay, so these are Indian tax rates. Okay, but yeah, in overall, for us it is too much, I would say. But still, they try to get the target with this 434 taxpayers. Okay? So definitely the government should enhance the tax base if they can enhance it, because this year onward, every student, every person after 18 years, you have to have a tax file. Okay? That is compulsory. If it is not, now they have given the deadline to the end of February, and if it is not, they can fine you 50,000 rupees. Okay? Everyone should have a TIN number, so you can go to the website, online you can apply it. You can't say that I don't earn money, still you have to have a TIN number. Okay? If it is, if you don't have a TIN number, one day they can fine 50,000 per year. Right? Per year, 50,000. Okay? Right, so therefore we have to have, we have to register and get the PIN number, then the government can trace the income earners. So with that, they will be able to enhance the number. Maybe the tuition masters and the all other casual earners, they will be caught by the government. That is good for us. And so I will not read because of the time now. So these are the ways that they define our employment income. Salaries, wage, even the leave pay, okay, is taxed, overtime pay, any fees, pension, commission, gratuity, bonus, and other similar payments. Okay, so rather writing all this, if we can put the word everything is taxable, I think that would be much easier to understand. Okay, and allowances including any cost of living, subsistence, rent, entertainment, travel allowance. Okay, previously we have not taxed for the allowances, and even for the the travel and all other allowances not taxed, but this time we have to pay taxes. Payment providing discharge of leave, yes, there are many things. Okay, at the same time they have taken like how we can calculate assessable income, taxable income, and etc. There are some schedules, so I will not go through, and some exemptions are also given. About DPF and deployment and so on and so forth. Most probably these are not relevant to academic community, unfortunately. The many exemptions are good for the politicians. Okay, so they put some conditions to save their income, not academic community. Therefore, no need to worry about reading this. Okay, so right. So finally, the other one is the VAT. VAT. So that is also very important for us because we have to pay VAT, value-added taxation, The earlier it was 15%, now the government has increased that up to 18%. Maybe that you feel just 3%. But remember, the value-added taxation is sometime we go for the dual taxation. For instance, when you import a vehicle, you pay the customs duty, and based on that, again you pay another 18%. Okay? For the duty, again we pay 18%. So that is the problem we have. Because the value-added taxation is very dangerous, because it's very difficult to calculate. And the other problem is, when you go to a shop, okay, if they want to charge VAT, they have to have the tax register number. Okay? So what you can do, you can go for a place and ask, can I have your invoice? If the invoice contains the tax registration number, then only they can charge 18%. Okay? So the big companies or the big retailers, they can charge, but the small retailers, they can't charge 18%. But since the people do not aware it, we pay 18% to those business people. Okay? That doesn't go to the government, so the people take that money. Okay? So therefore, remember, if you want to pay 18%, check whether they are entitled to charge it. So definitely there should be that registration number printed on the bill. Okay? Otherwise, they can't charge it. Okay? And tax rates now increased. Earlier there were 38 odd products which were exempted from VAT. Now they put VAT on these 97 products, so the tax base is enhanced. For example, fuel, okay, and some even the books and all. Those days those were exempted, but now we have to pay tax. And even the threshold. Now when it comes to VAT registration, earlier it was 300 million. If a business earns 300 million, then only they have to register for the VAT. But now it has been dropped to 80, now again further it's taken down to 60 million. So even a small company, if it is 150,000 odd income per day, so they have to register for the VAT, and then they can charge VAT from us. Okay? So this is our VAT rate, the prevailing VAT rate. You can see that the 15 years, even 16 may have 15, but 19 I told you that we curtail all the taxes. So with that, so we reduce the VAT to 8%. Okay? And yeah. So this is the target. Now the government is going to earn 1,400 billion from VAT. Okay? I told you that target is to 2,800 billion. From our income tax, they are charging 1,220 billion. From VAT, they charge 1,400 billion. So altogether around 2,600 billion. Okay? So the government will earn money, finally we have to pay it. So no option, because it is a government decision, but we have to understand, if you want to overcome the issue of the country economic crisis, so definitely we have to fill the gap. So one option is that we can overnight fill it, maybe by 2024, paying all these taxes. At the end of 2024, 2025, there will be a better field to play. Okay? Or else we can take many years, just charging little amount of taxes. For another 5 years, we have to suffer the same crisis. So these are the two options. Now the present government is taken the first option, to take all the taxes overnight within a year. So that's what we feel now. Okay? And there are many leakages also they identify. There are 30% leakage in the VAT system. Because even though we are not paying on, when we are not paying taxes, the government can impute many penalties on us. I can remember the last year, there were 80,000 on taxes for me, additional tax. So I discussed with them, so this 80,000 is not correct. It should not be 80,000, it should be something less than that. So while I was having the discussion with the commissioner, so the deadline passed and they imputed another 90,000 as a fine. Okay, for the 80,000. So somehow I didn't pay the fine, but I had to pay 80,000. Okay, so the leakages, but if it's a company, so what they do now, even the big finance companies in Sri Lanka, they have to pay 48 billion VAT. Okay? Because what they do, they make some documents which are not correct, and if the government says no, this is not the correct tax, then they can go for the arbitration. Okay? So the arbitration process normally takes 40 months. Okay? So the arbitration process takes 40 months. So they can save that 48 billion in the account. With the interest, they can pay the tax. Okay? But for us, no option. If this is the tax, you have to pay. Okay? So this is very unfair. Anyway, that is we call the external linkage, that 30% of the VAT is linkage. Yeah, so that's all. And finally, our concern is, if we go for this much of taxes, that will badly impact on our consumption. If we do not do the consumption, the government will not be able to earn their target income. So that's the repercussion that I see. So with that, let me to conclude our Vedis. So thank you again, Prof. Jagat, my friend, and all sirs. No, there are two sirs of mine, and my colleagues and dear students. Thank you. And I have taken around 45 minutes or more than that, most probably. I told you that discussing about the tax and the economic crisis is not easy to confine. We collapsed the economy after 74 years. Okay? So brief all these 74 years, what has happened to us within 45 minutes is a big target, challenge. I think I have given you something. So thank you very much. If you have anything to clarify, it's over to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Aminda. Very interesting presentation. I know for me, it was very interesting, and I learned a lot. Learned a lot of things that we did not know. And it's time for a quick session on anything that you want to ask him. He has a lot of knowledge, and he has been in these committees and working with the government. So therefore, he has inside information that we do not know. So let me start by asking a simple question. What got into my head when you were talking, Professor Aminda, and we saw that we came into an issue, we went bankrupt and all that over the years. And now IMF is giving us guidelines, this is what to do. And we have, I think, in the world, there are other experiences, similar thing may have happened in other countries. And when IMF has given this, I think the IMF has instructed us to increase taxes, and the same instruction may have gone into other countries. Have they succeeded after taxing so much? What are the experiences from other countries? Have they succeeded in coming out of this problem? I think Greece or many other countries face the same issue. And also, I think you pointed out that in the last slide that when you tax people, then the people will go into poverty. They will go into poverty again. It's very difficult to break out of the vicious cycle of poverty when you have to pay a lot of things. So what is your idea about what has happened in the other countries in this?
Yeah. Yes, now, Economic Oversight Committee, so we discuss it, Parliament level, and I got a chance to discuss with the IMF team when they came to Sri Lanka. So what they say is, you have to maintain your debt sustainable, that's all. They have given the directions how to overcome this, but they have not given any strategy. Okay? So if you want to increase our income, one option is that we can charge taxes on the existing taxpayers, or else we can enhance the tax base and charge it. So the problem is the implementation, not the direction. Okay? So what we did was just increase the numbers and say, for example, when we need more taxes, no rupees, they put many taxes and increase interest rate and all these things. Okay? But they have not taken into account what are the outcomes of that. Okay? So the many businesses, they close their business, and now the Mars and all these brandies, they are moving to other countries. Okay? But they can't bear this electricity fee and additional taxes. But the government considered only the rupees. But they didn't consider the dollar. What will happen to our dollars if they leave the country? Okay? So that is the problem. Therefore, I don't say that the IMF is a problem, but the way that we have taken the message is not correct. So that is the issue, first one. The second one, yes, when you put taxes, yes, that will badly impact on us, even entire community, especially the indirect taxes like that. So everyone should pay it. Right? But again, what I want to say, the government should understand they need to collect money, but how to collect it, that is the problem. Okay? So there are many ways. For instance, now currently the government is going to privatize around 80 state-owned enterprises. Okay? Yes, there are some companies like not SLT, Air Lanka. Air Lanka, it was a profit-earning company, the business. And because of a very personal issue, the government has taken it over. That year onward, they had huge loss. I can it's alright, it's recorded. Okay? I was in the Ministry of Public Enterprise Development as a consultant. Then the Air Lanka was under our ministry. Even though we lost, we paid 3 million for the chairman. Right? On the take-home salary only. With all other facilities. For the next another 2.5 million. And all the bonuses. But it makes losses. I think Brian knows the numbers. He was there on the television. Okay, so so why we pay tax? Why we pay bonuses for the loss-making companies? So we appointed a politician for all these good places, and finally they made the businesses losses. So one option is we have to privatize it, or else other option is we have to change the management. My stand is first we have to try to change the management, let them to independently function. Recruit the most qualified people, maybe not 3 million, even 10 million, whatever, and then we can make them profit. Okay? So I don't think that IMF is an issue, but the message given to the public is IMF may create all these issues. No, it's not that. I think I got answer.
Thank you very much, Prof. Aminda. It was very insightful, and now we feel like very uneasy. Yeah, how to go on. Yes. Now tax. Yes, you also explained tax is one way of getting this deficit or that minus back. Now we have a huge potential for exports. Now, what is your point of view? Why? I know there might be a political reason why they don't encourage exports. But is there another reason from economic view or other view, budgetary view, why they don't encourage exports?
So we use very, I would say that wrong theory in Sri Lanka. That is the competitive advantage theory. So it is very, debatable something, right? The people say that, we have to go for the competitive advantage. So there we compare whether we should produce or whether we should import. If we can import something lesser than the cost of what we produce here, we call it is better to import. So that is a rationally, financially, yes. But if you look at the long-term repercussion of that, what I believe is no, we should not do it. We opened a market in 1997. Without having anything, we opened the market. Right? During that time, we had many businesses like Das and Steel Corporation, Cement Corporation, all were there. But we could not sustain them. But if you look at India, they were their independence in 1947, we were 1948. And once they given the independence, they appointed a committee called Mahalanobis Commission. So the report is still there on the website. So the Mahalanobis Commission, they developed 5-year plans. So one good plan is for the agriculture. Okay? They say that if you want to sustain or if you want to develop a country, the most important part is agriculture. Okay? You all know, I hope. Right? Now Sri Lanka, the agriculture, even though we call it the agriculture country, our contribution is 7% to the GDP. Okay? So in India, they started with a concept called seed, water, fertilizer. So if you want to develop the agriculture, we have to have good seed, we have to have good fertilizer and water management. So first 5 years, from 56 to 61, they invested entire their assets, or the money, the time and all, to develop that. Now still you can see the India is sustaining agriculture. Okay? What we did, we have not done anything, we just opened. So they have taken up many years to open the economy. I think 1996 only they opened the economy. We opened the economy in 1997 without having a proper base. So that is one reason. So we went for this competitive advantage theory, that is not correct. And the next one is, I guess, yes, there's a political motivation. Because if you import something, we know the 10% or whatever the percentage, so that is our stimulation.
Thank you very much, Professor Aminda, for your very enlightening presentation. Even though we felt the burden of taxes, we know that now we have to pay taxes. Now, my one question is, as you said, government is trying to increase the number of taxpayers. So, is it the intention to increase the individual taxpayers, or are they having any mechanism to find the tax increase of tax collection from the companies or producers? Maybe finally the tax has to be, is it, I feel like that finally everything is coming into the consumer or ordinary people like us. So we are paying taxes, not the companies. Is it like that? That is one question.
Yes. Yes, no. Yes, sorry, sir.
Okay, can I continue? Oh,
Yes, sure.
Okay, so then the second question is for that collection, according to my understanding now, that tax collection, the earn money from the tax, is it only going to pay the debt or the loans we have taken from everywhere, or anything, any percentage is going for investment or develop the facilities or any benefit for the taxpayers in our country at present? Because I heard that in other countries there are benefits given. I know that we are having free education, free health service like that. And the other thing is, I heard that still, even though the individuals are paying taxes or paying more and more, higher and higher taxes, still the profit earning companies are having benefits or tax relief. For the time being, I have many questions because I am not a specialist, I can't understand many things. Maybe my questions are very silly or simple, but please explain. Thank you,
sir. There are a few. The first one is why they go for this tax registrations. Now in Sri Lanka we don't have any numbers. Okay? We don't have a database. Since we do not have a database, they can't make decision. So that's the reason why even agriculture, when farmers are asking for fertilizer, we don't have fertilizer. Okay? Because we don't have a good database. Now even for the taxpayers, we don't have a good database. So now it is mandatory for all, so they have to get themselves registered. Then at least the government has a sort of a database. So with that, they can trace, in future, they will be connecting our TIN number with our accounts and all other cases. Now, up to now, what I know, that now the government is going to, if you want to start a current account, here in after, you have to give the TIN number. So without paying your TIN number, you can't work with a bank here in out. If you want to buy a vehicle, the TIN number is mandatory now. If you want to buy a property, TIN should be there. Okay? So since it is there, so government will go through and see that how we earn the money. So they can trace it. If you can have one number for accounts and our ID and all these things, so definitely the government can trace from where we get this money. Okay? So that's the main reason. So this is what the IMF is emphasizing. there should be one number by which the government should be able to identify the taxpayers. And the second one, why the companies are not paying taxes. So that's another very crucial issue. Now, all the companies, they go for the auditing. And the auditors should submit the audited account financial statement for the taxes. So what we do now, even though we call the auditing companies are independent and they do all this proper valuation, no sir. What we can do, if I have a business, I can select my auditor. Now the competition is very high. So I can say, okay, you will be the auditor and I pay you. You have to make my account as I need. So we can hide profit. So we can easily hide profit now. So if you hide profit, then we don't want to pay tax, even though it is audited report. So that's another case that we have. So again, the government should have a mechanism to properly monitor that and get the correct number. Okay? The many big companies, I don't want to say the names, the very known companies, if you look at the list, they are not paying tax. Okay? And how they use the money, I showed you that out of the total earnings, 72 we spent on long-run services currently. Okay? So if you pay 100 rupee tax, out of which they will be using around 70 rupees to service our loans. So they don't have expense or the money for the development. So that's why even the universities we know, we don't have any capital expenditure. Even the field tours are now to a great extent curtailed. No new investments, nothing. Because they don't have money. But if we can increase the income and reduce this loan burden, so of course there's a saving for that. We can, they can use those money for the development. Currently it is not.
That means finally all this VAT and all these types of taxes are finally paid by us.
Yes. Yes. And, yeah. So there's another one, sir. When it comes to the tax structure, the recommended tax structure is 40% from the direct taxes, 60% from the indirect taxes. The indirect taxes we all pay tax. If it is direct, only from the income earners. But in Sri Lanka it was 80 to 20. Only 20% direct taxes, 80% indirect taxes. So that's a very big burden. Now that it has been little changed now, but still it is not too, we could not take it to the proper level. So the government earns money, the government earning sources are the taxes, so that shows that we pay tax. No option. Yes.
Sir, thank you very much for the nice explanation. I'm always asking so many things from you. I have two questions. The first one is now, as you mentioned, now we have individual team number here after. That's what they ask. So there are some blue chip companies. They are paying individual taxes for their employees because they are saying that somehow after getting the total profits, they have again paid taxes upon their profit. So what they do is they are paying back the individual amount, the tax for the employees, especially in the blue chip companies, and they are relieving, they are giving a relief to the employees, and they are minimizing their final profit. So in this case, what you have mentioned, what will happen when they are having this T number and then they can monitor that they are not paying the taxes for the total income because that one will be fulfilled by the company. So how it affect for the company and for the employees as well? That is my first question. And the second question is, there are some mismanagement in the government action, especially the treasury bills and the things that need to be take back. I mean, there are so many places where the funds were misleaded. So now when you are trying to develop the financial stability, why they are always focusing on the individuals and getting back the taxes without focusing on these areas where most of the companies are not paying their taxes? So I need 2 points. Thank you, sir.
Yes, the first one, when it comes to the individual TIN number, yes, now we have to have a TIN number, and with the new act, no concessionary tax can be there. Okay? For all the companies, we have to pay the fixed tax. Even the businesses or any institution, now that happened even in central bank. The central bank, I heard that they pay taxes for their staff, now it is stopped. Hereinafter, no, the individual should pay tax. Okay? And still, the companies, they do this, they pay bonus and they do different payments for the employees in order to cover the tax. And to make the record out of their financial statement, they pay in cash. But this time they put another condition. If you pay anything cash over 500,000, we can't deduct that money when it comes to the profit. Therefore, you can't make any cash payment if it is beyond 500,000. So there are different mechanisms, but still, the companies, they have to look after their workers and they do something to protect their staff and their income level. But finally, yes, if it added to the employee income, then for that they have to pay tax. In future, yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Aminda, for your lecture and the explanations. I like to know now, as a country, we are not paying the loans back yet. So that has to be done in the near future. Then what would happen to our economy
Yes, sir, that's why we call it a restructuring, the loan. The loan restructuring, both domestic and the local. So when it comes to restructuring, they have given 3 conditions. One is that haircut. Haircut means out of the total loan, we have to cut 30% now. Okay. So the Sri Lanka, that's why the EPF. So the government has taken loan from EPF. Now the government is going to cut that 30%. Okay. So if you cut that 30%, even the international community, to some extent, now they agreed, okay, we also cut 30%. But there are some legal issues. And the government appointed 2 consultancy firms for that. So one is that. The second one is reduce the interest rate. So we can reduce the interest burden. The third one is expand the loan repayment period. This year, what I can remember, so we have to pay around $8 billion. But what they are going to do now, they are going to extend the period. It's like, when it comes to credit card issues, sometimes if you are not in position to pay, we ask for the period. Then we can pay a little amount for many years. So that is what they propose as a restructure. Therefore, even we, after restructuring, yes, we have to pay the loans. Even the government started paying loans. So recently they paid 200 million to Bangladesh. So they are paying, so they have to manage the reserves. So while managing the reserve, they have to pay the loan. So that is what we needed. And the other one is the foreign remittances. So if you can increase the foreign remittances in addition to the export. Now currently we get around 500 million per month from foreign remittances. Okay? So the 2022 we stopped all these foreign remittances, so that was a burden. But now we get good amount. With that we have dollars. I showed you that there are 600 something for last quarter only. Okay?
What do you mean by the reducing the interest rates? So is it an international?
Yes.
Okay.
So now, when it comes to loans, there are different types. One we go for the bilateral with a country, and then we go for some international agencies, multilateral. And 1997, we did another mistake. So that we went to the open market. For the first time, we went to the open market with a tool we call ISPs. There is international sovereign bonds. Earlier we have taken a project loan. If it is Mahavaliya, then we have to use the money for the Mahavali development. Right? So it is given for a particular project. But when it comes to the international market, whatever the money that we request, they give us. They don't care about what we do with the money. Okay? So after 1997, we went for the many ISPs. And the ISP rates are very high. So if you take the JICA rate is 0.05 now. But the ISP rate is 8.5. So paying 8.5 for a foreign loan while appreciating the dollar is a very big burden. So what they propose is one option is that reduce that 8.5 for a fair amount. Not paying for 8.5, maybe just 4% something. And the other one is when it comes to the ISP auctions, the internationally, even though it's $100, we got around $40 for the auction during the auction. We went for the auction and we could not collect the total value. Therefore, even though we have to pay $100, we received only $40. So that's why IMF says, okay, don't pay $100. Because we took only $40, cut at least 30%. So these are some restructuring. So there are the document I showed you, sir. There's a chart. In that chart, they very clearly mention up to 2027 how we can use our dollars and use our foreign currencies by managing the country expenses. So if you can stick to that, yes, we can do.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Robin?
Thank you, sir, Professor Aminda, for your nice presentation with lots of valuable information. Today in the morning is the opening session of the Parliament, and then I happened to listen to the opening speech by the President, and then he was very positive about the current status, and he was mentioning about V-shaped economic growth. Can you explain a little bit about that, and is it really going to happen?
Yes, from 2020 we experienced negative growth. Okay, 2020, and this year we expect approximately 1.5 to 2% growth. Okay, so the President says it is 2.5. Central Bank says sometimes 3%, but what I believe is maximum we can go for 1.5. Okay, there will be a growth, mainly because if you look at the numbers, you can see because we pay tax now. So the government get money. No, the settling loan is now still we settle multinational loans. We stop only the market loans. So the country loan we pay, and there are some loans payments are going on. Yeah, so what they believe is we can restructure the loan. On that basis, we believe there will be a small growth, maybe just 1.5 maximum. So after 4 years. So President says the next year 4% or something. But anyway, the 2048 would be a good year for us, no? 2048 is 2048, yes. Those are just numbers, but we can't exactly say because the politicians, they say different numbers. So we have to look at the economy, do the analysis, only we can predict it. So the President says yes, there will be a growth, yes, there can be. Not sure.
Any other question? There was another one. You said 30% taxes were, 30% loans were taken out of the IMF.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right? So, I heard in a press conference by Central Bank Governor, after this came into the discussion, and they said that this was not done. Is it done or not done?
Not
if
yet.
It is done, if they do that, then does that mean we do not get our PPF back?
No, that is two cases. One is that the Central Bank Governor, when he is speaking to Sinhala, he says something else, and English another one. So there's a problem. So what we have to rely. And the 30%, of course, we're supposed to cut 30% in 2022 April. 2020, yes. But we were not able. Still, the discussions are going on, mainly because of China. China opposed it. So still, we have not implemented. So what they say is, if you want to implement it, first we have to cut our loans, domestic. Okay? So first we have to cut it. And so when it comes to the cut loans or the curtail or the cut that 30%, initially they were discussing, okay, so the loans were given by the banks, so we can cut the 30% of the banks. But the banks are in very vulnerable status now, because our NPL rate is around 30% now. NPL, non-performing loans, also increased. Therefore, finally the government decided not to rush to bank, but only to the EPA, because the EPA, there's a huge money. Okay, there are some, more than, I think, 20 million accounts now, I hope. Okay? So, lots of accounts, no owners, so they have enough money, so the government finally says, okay, we'll cut that 30% from the EPA. But there were many opposed came, or the objections came from the trade unions. So then the government says, okay, if you are not allowing to cut 30%, then we increase the taxes to 30%. Now it is 40%. From the tax we charge it. But still it is not done. So still the discussions are going on.
Right, okay. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Prof. Aminda Perera, for your wonderful presentation and the lively discussion that has happened after the presentation, and we encourage, I don't know why students didn't ask any questions. Anyway, remember all of you will be a teen holder in the near future, and I think even to open the background later, the teen number will be needed. And as he said, everything will be linked to you. And I remember when we were studying in England, we had, everyone should have a national insurance number. That is the same thing that is happening here, right? So national insurance number, when we have that, you are liable for tax. If you are exceeding certain income, then you are liable for tax. So you will all be liable for tax. That is why we invited Professor Aminda to enlighten us about tax and all these issues that we are going to face. So, in appreciation of his excellent presentation, I invite Professor Aminda to accept our small certificate of appreciation. Right, and I will take this same opportunity to give the certificate of appreciation to our previous speaker. I think I was not ready with the certification. We had the first faculty talk last month, and it was done by Dr. Janaka Vikram Singh. So please, Janaka, please come and accept your certificate of appreciation. He was talking on nutritional interventions on dairy cows undergoing stress. Right, thank you very much for listening.